second week in a row, I have to mute myself, and the guys in the background can see. I'm so sorry, guys. It's been one of those weekends, okay? Trust me, it's been one of the wee weekends. I'm not gonna lie, but I want to tell everyone welcome to the show for the Championship review. We are going to talk about some key games over the weekend, including Hull against Portsmouth, including this Friday night's game against Luton and West Brom, and all our games for our guests as well. Bristol City were at Preston, Sunderland were at QPR, and Leeds against Plymouth as well. Joining us is the two other amigos. Gentlemen, I know I've made a mistake. And yeah, don't play that mute game with me. It's not going to work, so don't try it. Are you joking? You're taking a piss, aren't you?
Maybe
Both
not.
of you. Yeah, you are. Don't lie. Don't lie. Oh dear. I knew you all was muted. You don't play games with me and shit, man. No.
Oh, sorry. Connection got funny. Sorry, Carl.
Listen, it's happened the second week. It's not going to happen the third week next week. I promise you.
Well, it won't do
Going
with
to
me
happen.
because I'll be away.
I know. That's what we're good for your way. So if we Annie, then at least I will save the embarrassment.
Well, we'll see. Get Ant on. Oh wait, never
But
mind.
but hold on, where's Ant now? He's doing his buddy roundup with his own channel. I actually didn't see it earlier on.
True. That is very true.
Yeah.
Just remember what we said. If all three of our teams somehow get promoted this season, then we can just go, hey, right, so welcome everybody, and I'm back. I'm Ant, and I'm back for the Championship review show, and everybody else has deserted me like I did to them last season, so I can't complain.
Yeah, that's a fair. Yeah, it's true. I know. Listen, you would have not done it tonight if Leicester lost. So because they got the draw yesterday, he's thought, well, let me just do it. Let me just do my bit roundup tonight.
Well, that's why.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I'll watch it after, see what he says, because I know he did say some stuff about Steve Cooper in our group chat in the last 24 hours. He just wants him gone, so.
Wants Cooper Ball gone? That's the stuff of dreams, isn't it?
True. But how's your weekend? Both of your weekends all good?
Not too bad. Not too bad. How about yours?
Not too bad, other than I was going to go out for Halloween last night for my friends, but I couldn't go because O2 have screwed up with my SIM card. Well, I can't even call or text anyone, so I couldn't go out last night because just in case if I missed to check what time the bus is going to come or even a taxi, so I decided to just have a night in and watch some American college football. So
fair enough, as long as you enjoyed yourself.
Well, I did until this morning. I had a run at bloody Sainsbury's because originally I forgot to change my card details to pay for my food delivery. But they were very pissy. Like I explained my situation where I can't call or receive calls. And they had to go and they said, "Oh, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to call." So how am I supposed to call? I've got no family friends nearby me. And I actually went on a rant at them as well. And I'm not gonna lie, the first person I spoke to on the phone, she was very rude and said, "Well, you shouldn't have online servers in the first place." But what the hell is that supposed to mean? I'm supposed to do my bloody food shopping online. You told me I should just come,
Let it all out, Carl. Let it all out.
I am letting it all out. And you know what? I've already made that complaint to them as well. So that person's going to get fired as hell because she was so bitching. And even the bloody the social media team was helpful as well. Said, "Oh, we can't take payments." I said, "It's not about payments. Can you get someone to either email me?" "Oh, we don't do emails anymore." So what the hell do you do there? "Oh, just calls." Bullshit.
Never heard you this angry. It's really funny.
Oh no, you should have seen me earlier on. I was a lot angry. I had to use bloody. It's weird to say. Not always use Skype anymore. But someone did make a phone call via Skype and it bloody worked because I thought it was not going to work.
It's all the fun stuff. It's just the stuff you don't expect in life is what happens. And if you were angry yesterday, you should have seen me in the pub when I was shouting during our game. Actually, served in the middle. I wasn't, apart from the red card, which he got right. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I was not very happy with him. So yeah, you haven't heard me during a game.
I can't imagine you when I see you at the pub what you like when Sunderland playing, especially like
let's just say I use language that probably would not be deemed very appropriate, like the worst type of language. So yeah. You know, I mean, it could have been worse. Or it could have been Andy like shouting in pleasure at how lovely and sexy Bristol City's third goal was.
Yes, I know. I saw the gift that I
Don't
saw
you
the gift,
shake your head, mister.
which I'm not going to show on here because I would rather not. Yeah,
Let's not replay the gift that I sent into the
no,
chat.
I no. As soon as I saw it, I thought, oh hell no, that's not. Yeah,
But I need to tell me that was wrong.
No comment.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No
There's
comment
no
as good
comment.
as a
Oh, I
confession,
plead
my
the
friend.
fifth. Yeah, God, almighty. You know what? Let's get with the
He's
show.
going to really do the mute thing now, isn't he?
Probably, yeah. He has. Oh, he's his lip syncing. Yeah, it's one of two ways.
Oh, so he's going mute. So, Annie, how'd you like it if Bristol Rovers got to the third round of the FA Cup and then it's you guys against each other?
They needed extra time against Western Supermare, is all I'm going to say.
That's fine. There's dreams still on. The
I
dreams still
know.
on for that.
I know.
Just need to get past whoever they get in round 2.
God knows.
Yeah. If you bloody like Huddersfield Town, for example, yeah.
And he probably would literally go like, well, actually, if the Bristol City got Bristol Rovers and Rovers ended up winning, he go, life's not worth living anymore.
I genuinely might, but let's not talk about that doomsday scenario.
Yeah, big up Anthony. Well, at least you and Annie can celebrate as all you want because you are both Bristol City fans. So, yeah, I'll give you that.
Anthony,
Right.
let's just say Annie was enjoying your third goal a bit too much.
Way too much.
To be fair, for good reason. It was a good goal. It was a very
I
good
know.
goal.
Bloody filth. It's filthy.
Was it okay? Which one's better, that one or the one that we scored at Reading 2 years ago? You know, the one that should have won goal of the season, but somehow wasn't even nominated.
Yes.
The one still bitter about that.
From the back, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, probably that. Probably that one.
Yours was quicker in passing, mind, I would say.
Yeah, and if you see well, we'll talk about it. But if you see Max,
go on, yeah.
If you see Max Bird, it's like from his starting position to the end position. If you just track his movement, it's filth. It's filth.
You need to cut. Give me an idea for that. Just put a clip of that goal, but start with Max Bird, and then have Peter Griffin go "Bird's the word."
Yeah.
I might actually do that. To be fair, that'd be quite funny.
It would be actually. It would be. Actually, there's a lot of good games this weekend. I don't know where to start. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to start off to get some of the draws. Michael, we'll leave your team later on with our team.
That's fine. Yeah. I'll go for it.
But we can start off with Friday night, and what I have to say, what a goal from Josh Major, my on Friday. Major. See, everyone they don't change with names these days, man. Seriously.
I mean, to be fair, I did watch him play for 6 months, so I got accustomed to how to say his name.
That's a good point. Yeah, until he went to Bordeaux. Yeah.
Yeah, look how well that went for him.
I know.
Comment. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. What a goal from him on Friday night with a back heat flip heel.
I was going to say, if he scores a backflip at a back
I know, a back heel. Sorry, a back heel flick on Friday against Luton, but Luton did get the equaliser through Tyre Chong. It was a 1-1 draw. Again, five draws in a row for West Brom. Not panic stations at the moment, but a little bit.
Go on, Annie, you take this if you want.
Yeah, they're just about hanging on into their top 6 position. Kind of Blackburn are stumbling a little bit. Watford have overtaken them. Bristol City are kind of flying to us. I'm joking. But no, yeah, they're kind of just hanging in there. Too many draws at the minute. They should have won at Oxford. Kind of felt like I didn't watch the game, but from the highlights, it kind of felt like probably a fair result in isolation here.
Yeah, I'd say it was. I watched the game.
Yeah, but yeah, not a good run, and they seem to be lacking goals at the minute, really badly. If you had a look at the Sky put up a really funny stat on their broadcast where it was attacking midfielders 0 goal contributions for West Brom. Jed Wallace, John Swift, Malumbi.
Was that for this season?
That was damning.
Was that for this season?
For this season,
wow.
yeah. Where absolutely no goal contributions from their central midfield, and that's kind of if your forwards aren't at it, you want your central midfield to step up in games. And if you're West Brom in particular, you know, team that will be up there, you definitely want, you know, the likes of Alex Moa. Alex Moa has contributed this season, but you know, Malumbi or anyone else in that midfield, or your fullbacks, you know, a Darnell Furlong or a Hegum on the left hand side. You want them to kind of step up and contribute. They just aren't doing that at the minute. And set pieces as well. West Brom last season with Carl Bartley, Cedric Kipre, Semi Ajay, set piece kings, but that's kind of gone a little bit as well. They've lost that delivery, so a bit concerning. In isolation, is a point at Luton at come the end of the season that bad? Probably not. But I think with the context of the bigger run they're going on at the minute, it's not great. But Luton, oh my god, they've really got to start winning games. It's again, a point at home to West Brom in the bigger in the isolation, not the worst thing in the world, but they've got to start winning games sooner rather than later because Rob Edwards is going to be, I'm sure, is already under serious pressure.
The thing I'd add to that as well is I think when you look at the draws for West Brom, because it's 7 without a win, but it's 5 successive draws now, isn't it? So
Yeah.
really, I agree with what Annie said. I think in isolation, a point away at Luton is not bad. That's probably it. But again, it's certain types of draws that tend to cost you. Like Oxford, you're away at winning 1-0. And to be fair, at that point, Oxford had an unbeaten home start. Obviously, they lost yesterday, but at that point, they were unbeaten at home. And yeah, but you expect to win that game with, 90 seconds or so left of the game, and Dane Scarlett scores. Not beating Cardiff at home. I know Cardiff have improved, but I think that's a game you'd expect West Brom to win at the Hawthorns. You could say Millwall at home, which I suppose looks less and less bad now when you look at what Millwall's done since. But at the same time, I suppose if you look at today's result, we'll get onto Burnley later on, but Millwall's win was probably not what West Brom wanted to see. Because it's another team that's now chasing down and closing the gap to them. So it's, a point away again in isolation is not bad. Josh Madger's goal, really good. Chong's goal, really good finish as well from outside the box and good run in the build-up to it, even though it came from a West Brom mistake. But I would say what Annie said was pretty right. From someone who watched the game, I don't think either team did enough over the 90 minutes to win. I would say if you're going to edge anyone, I would say Luton. So I thought Luton, the commentators kept referring to, I don't know if you watched the game, Carl, but basically the commentators kept referring to it as a nervy atmosphere. And I didn't think there was much nerves in Luton's first half performance. I actually
I don't think there was. When I watched the highlights of it wasn't that Luton were not that nervy compared to what the commentator did say. I was a bit surprised because...
Well, yeah, because they were better in the final third. They're 2-3-0 up before even Madger scores. So, but Annie is right. Luton have definitely got to start winning. They've started to sort their home form out a little bit because I looked at their home run. They've lost once at home since the end of August. And I think it's they've beaten Sheffield Wednesday, hammered Watford, which obviously is the big one for them. Obviously lost to Sunderland, drew with West Brom, and there's someone else. Drew to home to Oxford from 2-0 up. That's probably a draw more than anything else that's more costly for Luton than what drawn at home to West Brom is. But Annie is right. Both need to start getting a win sooner rather than later. But especially Luton, when you look at the team that they've got, they really shouldn't be anywhere near down where they are. And it's the stuff I've kept saying before. It's the first season, especially with Rob Edwards, where there's expectation to a degree on him, as opposed to there wasn't as much by comparison before. So I think, which is weird because when Luton played us, I've said last week, I thought they were really, really good. One of the best teams I've watched us play this season. Probably Leeds the only one that I think has been better than them from what I've watched. But yeah, I don't know what it is. They just can't seem to get going. So yeah, Luton definitely need to start winning, and West Brom need to get a win sooner rather than later to sort of end their winless run.
Absolutely, both teams especially need to get their winning ways back to what it was. Especially with Luton, I know Rob Edwards has been there for it's coming up to nearly 2 years at some point this year. So
no, you're right, it is.
Yeah. Especially look at what happened over a year ago. So yeah, no, do you think it was that long? I thought it was a bit longer, but yeah, nearly 2 years of since he's been in the role.
2 years. 2 years this month, I think.
This month, yeah. Because he came in 2 years ago after Watford sacked him. So yeah, times have gone. Times have changed in a couple of years.
It's mental. That's 2 years ago. Like that. That's just frightening.
It is very frightening indeed, actually. It is. Going into the other draw on Saturday between Hull City and Portsmouth. Portsmouth get the equaliser through Josh Murphy at the start of the second half. Jalper scoring the equaliser. Michael, do you think Portsmouth had more better chance to win that game than Hull? Because I think Hull were very lucky that their goalkeeper, Ivor Pandos, really did do some tremendous saves yesterday.
Yeah, well, again, I'm basing this just off the EFL highlight show, but from what I did watch,
It's the first time I actually watched it all last night together. Usually, while you watch it a little bit later today, but I actually watched it last night. Actually,
yeah, I did as well. Actually, I usually try to save it to a Sunday to have something to look forward to, but no, I thought, no, go on, I'll watch it last night, because it was shorter, wasn't it? Because obviously
a
League
lot
One and League Two,
shorter, yeah, because of the FA
League
Cup.
One, League
Yeah,
Two were in the FA Cup, weren't they? So, but you're right. I think from the stats, it looked like, well, obviously Hull bossed the possession, which doesn't surprise me. But the chances Portsmouth missed in the second half, or at least especially to near to the end of the game, was mental. Really, that they didn't end up scoring it. And yeah, it's a point. I mean, a point away from home's not bad for Portsmouth, but again, I think we're probably gonna repeat this quite a bit. I think Portsmouth are at the point now where we've gone past the point of having their difficult fixtures. They need to start picking up wins. And they haven't won at home yet this season, have they? So that's
no,
something that they obviously need to address. Yeah, from 1-0 down, a point's not the end of the world, but they can really make it better by building on that in this weeks to come. And actually, if you look at their next two games, they're pretty big ones. I mean, they've got an away game on Tuesday away at Plymouth,
they
which is
do.
massive, and then Preston at home next Saturday. So yeah, it's an okay point, but it turns into a good one if they build on it. But for Hull, um, yeah, Hull. Hull since the international break, they obviously lost to Sunderland, and then they've drawn like 3 games since, haven't they? All 1-1, I think.
Yeah,
Um, Reminds me of Jack Ross in League One. We kept drawing 1-1 every bloody week. So maybe Hull's trying to copy a leaf out of his book. But yeah, Hull they're solid enough in getting points. But yeah, I think they probably would have hoped to have won a game like that. But Pompey definitely had the better chances.
absolutely they did. Absolutely they did. Going to look at the other games the weekend, we can look at. We'll talk about Swansea City's win at Oxford. Andy, to be quite honest with you, and Oxford's home beating run is ended. A good win for the Swans yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was their first goal in 9 hours.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Stupid, something really stupid like that. But yeah, Vibotnik scored, which is important for them because he's their like main outlet at the moment in terms of striking department. And Bianchini scored a nice goal to get the second, and then Oxford had a bit of a late rally, and they could have got an equaliser right at the end. Greg Lee had a header which was just wide, but if you speak to any Oxford fan, they'll probably say even if that did go in, they probably didn't deserve anything from the game. Swansea were the better side. And if you look at Swansea's kind of XG this season, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. They're kind of like, they're sort of in the 10th. They're kind of mid-table, higher mid-table in terms of XG, which is not reflective of their league position at the minute. But um, yeah, it's always kind of felt weird because it felt like they were creating chances, Swansea, but they weren't taking them. And if they keep taking them, they'll just start moving up the table at a faster rate. But yeah, disappointing for Oxford because they probably say they earmark this as a game as maybe get something out of. But on the other hand, they've also got something out of home games where against teams where maybe you wouldn't have expected them to. So it all kind of evens out eventually. But yeah, now they've dropped to 19th, Oxford, and they've after that really good start to the season under Des Buckingham, it's kind of starting to fade away, and maybe they probably quickly get sucked into a relegation scrap. But yeah, frustrating and concerning for Oxford because that's how many draws was that? 2, 6? No, 5 draws, 2 defeats, so 7. I think without a win, which is can I count right? No, yeah, 5 draws, 2 defeats, so 7 without a win, and really disappointing from an Oxford perspective because maybe a game they should be getting something out of, considering Swansea's kind of frailties going forward.
yeah, it's going to be interesting if they can. This book can pick up points over the next 2 games before the international break coming up. Michael, let's go to Ewood Park, Sheffield United. Winning 2-0. They've kept a 9 clean sheet in 13 games, and it was a dominant display from the Blades yesterday for Chris Wilder and his side.
Absolutely was, and that's the type of game that. I mean, Blackburn have started well. I mean, to give credit to Sheffield United because that probably won't have been an easy game. Blackburn started really well. They were right in the mix for what is it? They've been obviously in the top 6 picture so far this season, It obviously probably won't expect it to be there at the end of the season, but that's not Sheffield United's problem. You've got to go out and do the job. You've got to go out and be professional. And given how obviously Leeds won yesterday, but given how they're now above Burnley with that result, it just goes to prove that, and it backs up kind of something I've been saying all along, that if you have a solid base and you build from the back and you're able to be really good defensively while still balancing that with flair going forward, more 9 times out of 10, keep a clean sheet, you win games. You don't want to just rely on that, and to be fair, they're not, because obviously they wouldn't have won so many games. Tyrese Campbell, good for him, got back-to-back goals in back-to-back games. Is that right? I think it is, yeah. So it looks like he's had no problem settling into Bramall Lane, and Chris Wilder would be very happy about it. So yeah, that takes Sheffield United. How many points are they off? They're 1 point behind Leeds. I didn't realise how close that was. Okay, yeah, so 1 point off second, 4 points off top. Yeah, pretty plain sailing afternoon, a plain sailing weekend, really, for Sheffield United. But Blackburn games, I think Blackburn will probably look back at it and think they're not games they'll be overly expecting to get anything from. But I think they'll be all right in games coming up if they've got easier fixtures than that. Because Sheffield United are no pushovers.
Absolutely, indeed. Annie, let's go to Hillsborough. What an eight-goal thriller, this
game,
weekend.
man.
Watford winning 6-2 and 4 goals for Vicon Bayo as well. What? This was probably one of the game of the week, actually.
If you speak to most Watford fans, they'd probably say Vacuum Bayer scoring 4 goals. Wouldn't have expected that, but yeah, they were really clinical, weren't they, against Wednesday yesterday? Just showed so much going forward, and we've criticised Watford for being bad away from home, and they have been up to now, but that is a seriously impressive victory. Hillsborough's not an easy place to go, and to score 6 and win 6-2 is seriously impressive. So, what a job Tom Cleverley's doing. Sit 5th in the league at the moment, and a lot of people including me, had them down near the bottom of the league rather than compared to in around the top 6. But they look good at the moment, and they've got attacking quality, attacking flair. Chak Padata, Bar, obviously Bayo, and Tom Ince, and got some good attacking players. And it's just about finding that balance and keeping this run going. And maybe there's a drop off incoming. Maybe we don't know. But for them, it's as long as possible. Just keep this run going. Just so if that bad run of form does come, this is kind of you can bank on this. But yeah, seriously impressive from a Watford perspective.
Can I just ask something? Is that Watford's first away win since the opening day of the season, or am I making that up?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I know they beat Millwall 3-2 on the opening day, but it was their home form that was kind of carrying them a bit, wasn't it? So it's good for them to get that monkey off their back.
Yeah, and that win at Millwall was very kind of smash and grabby. Millwall had a ton.
It was
of
a bit
chances.
smash and grab that first opening game of the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you
Millwall had
look at what
a lot
was
of
deemed to
chances.
be, when you look at what a lot of people said for Watford, myself included, I had them down near the bottom as well. You got to mention how good a job Tom Cleverley does. When, as we know with Watford, it's not exactly an environment where head coaches get a lot of patience and a lot of time. So to be delivering what he is, especially with some players they had to lose in the summer, I believe, I think he's done really, really well so far.
100%, absolutely 100%. And to get that monkey off the back of that first wearing since the start of the season, it's huge for Tom Cleverley and Horne. It's going forward. Going to
Can I just quickly say, Michael's right. They lost Wesley Hoot, who's their captain. They lost Yasser Asprilla, who was probably one of their best players, and Ishmael Kone, who looked like he was a cut above the championship. So
There you go.
that's 3 massive players they've lost over the summer, and he's replaced them with kind of free agents / loans / very cheap signings, like for low fees, and internally as well. Edo Kayembe stepped off massively. Sissoko's come back. He's kind of been a pretty big part of their run so far. And Ryan Andrews, who's been played right back, and he's been seriously impressive, and so is Matty Pollock, who's an academy product as well. So really impressive for Watford, and hopefully for them, this run can keep going.
absolutely indeed. Going to the Riverside Stadium. Middlesbrough went down to 10 men after after the loss 3-0 to Coventry City. Goals from Hadji Wright, Bobby Thomas, and Josh Echoes. Michael, I know Anthony's not here. Probably pissed off how Coventry won that game, and it's slowly they're now getting to start to see a bit of their form that we saw from last season. We start to see the old Coventry back slowly now.
It's something that we've all kind of said that with the squad they've got, again, similar to Luton, really. Like, doesn't it? Whether you believe in such a thing as false positions is up to you. But to me, Luton and Coventry as well, both were in false positions to be anywhere near where they are. Now, granted, Coventry, to be fair, I think Luton went down to 10 men before Coventry scored the winner. But that's also at the same time, you've got to beat what is put in front of you. And sometimes it's no guarantees when you have a side going down to 10 men that you go and end up beating them. I think what was massive for them was that Hadji Wright scored right on half time, because that pretty much kills Borough's sort of confidence or momentum, if there was such a thing in that.
Actually, it was Bobby Thomas scored at half time.
Sorry, my mistake then. But either way, for them to score, thanks for correcting us. But no, the score before half time, really, really important for them. Hadji Wright's got a couple of goals now as well, actually, and I've said I like him. I think he's one of the most underrated strikers in the Championship, alongside Ellis Sims, to be honest. But obviously, Sims hasn't had a great start. But no, it's really good. Coventry apparently have a good record away at Middlesbrough. I think that tends to be a ground they do really well at. Yeah. And of course, they've got us away next Saturday. So of course, they're coming into form right before playing us. We need to play them at the bloody August before the start of the season, really. But
are you going to the game next weekend?
I'm actually away with family in Manchester, funnily enough. So no,
okay, then.
That's the one home game this season I'll be missing. But yeah, I'm gonna try. I might try and see if I can watch it through certain means. But if I can't, I can't. Right. Either way, I wouldn't. Well, let me just say, from Coventry's point of view, this is the same for me as someone who's Sunderland obviously top. I would take a point against Coventry, even if we are at home, because one, we don't beat them. Two, they've got a side that's much better than what their position suggests. And three, because they're starting to get a good run of form together. They've scored 6 goals in the last 2 games, which I think is going to be massive for them. Obviously, from Borough's point of view, I think there was debate about Hayden Hackney's second yellow card.
Yeah.
But I watched a Borough fan channel, so that's how I knew about it. But obviously, the first one was reckless enough to warrant a yellow. Obviously, but then it was 22nd minute or something, wasn't it?
It was,
when he got sent off. So you've had 3/4 of the game to have to play against 10 men. But no, really good. And it's good to see from Coventry's point of view that they're starting to put some chances away and they're starting to get a bit of a run going. And we knew that I did say that I would be flabbergasted if Coventry still end up anywhere near down where they are. And what are they now? 6 points off the top 6, I believe, with those 2 wins, which just goes to show you how bloody tight the middle of the table is, because 2 wins all of a sudden shoot you from like 22nd to 9th. That's how mental the middle of the table actually is at the moment. So Coventry, I know, have got Derby away in midweek. Sorry, Derby at home in midweek on Wednesday, which, while you haven't got a God-given right to win a game, if you're wanting to get into the playoffs, if you're Coventry, you need to be probably winning games like that. And I think with Sunderland, they're definitely competitive and good enough to get a result at Sunderland. But if they got a point at Sunderland, for example, I don't think that would be viewed as a bad result for them. And I think say for example, if they beat Derby and drew with us, that would be 10 points out of 12 going into an international break, and all of a sudden the outlook changes. I did say that I still fancied Coventry to be around the top 6 picture if they start to get their act together. From Middlesbrough's point of view, they've got QPR away on Tuesday, I believe, and then Luton at home next Saturday. So it's a good chance for them to bounce back. But I guess with Borough, we keep having the same conversations. It's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, quite literally. To be fair to them, Norwich was a freak of a game where an own goal and 2 worldies get scored against them, which doesn't happen every week. But yeah, I mean, Michael Carrick, we talk about Luton having to put a run together. Michael Carrick at Borough's got to start doing that, really. But good for Coventry, though, to get successive wins.
Absolutely. We're in good way for the Sky Blues at Riverside yesterday. And we have to say, Ben Gibson had a very roller coaster day yesterday. To header for his led to the Victor Johansson's head own goal with a header. And then he gets to win it in the 2nd minute. I still beat Derby 2-1. How can we explain this? How do you
explain the own goal?
Yeah, that is what I want to know. How do you explain the own goal in the first inning? Because it was so weird how he didn't tell his goalkeeper, he didn't shout to his goalkeeper, say, I'm passing it back to you, and the goalkeeper was way out of his 6-yard box.
So if you haven't seen it, it's a long ball from Callum Elder, isn't it, from the left-hand side?
Yeah.
He boots up the pitch. No one from a Derby in the Derby shirt is anywhere near Ben Gibson. Ben Gibson then decides, okay, he doesn't know there's no one around him, so he could have easily just taken a touch and then moved, but he decides obviously to be the safer option, head it back to Johansson. Victor Johansson either doesn't see Ben Gibson is there and kind of then decides to charge forward and get a hold of the ball. Obviously, Ben Gibson has taken control of that situation. Gibson obviously anticipates that Johansson is on his goal line, but Johansson's about 2 feet away from Ben Gibson. So when the header goes back, it's not that it goes in the same direction as Victor Johansson. It goes to the right of Johansson. So Johansson has to scramble and then try and get it out
Yeah.
to a goal. Nearly did it. He hit it against the post, which, to be honest, was miraculous in itself. But yeah, it's it's just so clumsy and really, really poor from both of them. To be honest, one of them should be taking command of that situation a lot better. And Ben Gibson calls, clear, loud call of mine or whatever it is, or Johansson, kind of saying behind you, whatever it is,
You could have said,
Uh,
you could have done the Finding Nemo, the my, and then
yeah,
Jansen would have heard that easily.
yeah, but none of that happened, and Derby got an equaliser where maybe they shouldn't have, and Stoke made hard work of it and completely on themselves, really. But yeah, and in that position, actually, Derby had a couple of chances to go ahead after that, where they maybe should have done. Got a little bit of confidence from Ben Gibson's error and Johansson's error. But yeah, Ben Gibson then went on to redeem himself and gets the winner for Stoke, and I think that's their
Second
second
win. Yeah.
second winner under Narcis Palac, isn't it?
It is. It is. Was it? There was a foul lead up to the build. It should have been a free kick because there was some controversy with that one as well.
Haven't seen it properly. I'll have a look right now.
Well, while you're talking about that, to give any bit of time here, like the thing from Derby's point, Derby still haven't won away. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think they have that. I mean, obviously, we did say at some point Derby will win a game away from home, but we're probably getting to the point now where we need to start seeing like an away win from Derby because as we said, like similar with Oxford, really until recently, their home record's actually been very, very, very strong, and they're one of the many teams that are in that pack just above the relegation zone or like in the middle of the table, but 3 points can shoot you up or down 6 positions. So uh, yeah, the own goal's just mental. Like, but so I think Ben Gibson will be the most relieved man in the whole of Stoke on Trent this morning. In that, at least he was able to redeem himself personally to get
Yeah.
the winner at the other end. So yeah,
Especially as it was a derby, as it was a derby game, an A50 derby, as I didn't realise it was. So.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, if it ended a draw, it would have been much more of a talking point. But yeah, I mean, good win for Stoke. It's the type of game if you're Stoke, you need to be winning. So yeah, see if they build on it in the 2 games this week coming up, and see if Derby can finally get a win away from home.
Annie?
They need to start kind of banking a few more points, I think, away from home because they're not going to win every home game at Pride Park, despite
Yeah,
that being a
No.
really difficult place to go.
it puts a lot of pressure on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, no disrespect to the teams that have gone to Pride Park so far. I mean, us included, but they've not played the best of teams yet.
No, they haven't.
They lost to Norwich, didn't they, at Pride Park? And I'm thinking of the wins they have got. That was us and QPR. They drew at home to Hull. Who else have they beaten there?
They beat
Cardiff.
Middlesbrough at home, to be fair.
Yeah, beat Middlesbrough, but that was a very smash. That was very
Well, yeah,
smash and
I mean,
grabby.
I suppose you're going to flip it the other way. The game they lost against Norwich, they should not have lost that in a million years because that was down to
Yeah,
disgraceful officiating. But I take the point you're making.
yeah.
You
But
can't just expect to win every game at
Well,
home and not pick up many away.
exactly. So if they could get some key wins before December, because looking at December's from December, they play against us at Ellen Road, and then Tuesday they got Burnley away at Turf Moor, and then they got us again after Boxing Day, and they got West Brom on Boxing Day. So they got some critical games coming up in the next next 8 games in the next few weeks. So the time's tough when they
I'm
won't play.
looking at their next couple of their home games coming up. They've got Plymouth at home, Plymouth are dreadful away from home. They've got Swansea at home. Interesting game. And then they've got Sheffield Wednesday at home, and then Pompey at home, and then West Brom as well. So their run of home fixtures actually don't look that terrible.
No.
So if they can continue their home form at Pro Park, that will be massive in terms of accumulating a good chunk of points. But yeah, they're kind of in a funny position in the league because they're 14th, and normally if you're 14th, you're nowhere near anything really. You're just kind of there. You're kind of there. I know
Yeah,
that.
you're right in the middle.
They're
You're
3
on going
points
to,
above
yeah.
22nd. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I know that feeling all too well. You're kind of just in the middle of nowhere. But at the moment, they're not. They're 6 points off the top six, but more notably, they're 3 points off Plymouth. And if a few of the teams, unlikely, but a few of the teams start to gather some serious momentum in these next few weeks, Derby will get sucked right into that kind of bottom of the league very quickly. But yeah, it's a bit of an enigma, Derby, at the moment, because similar to Watford in a lot of ways, but Watford went and stuck six at Sheffield Wednesday. But they need to start picking up some points away from home. And to be honest, their fixtures coming up away from home: Coventry, Preston, Leeds, Burnley, Luton, Sheffield Wednesday, Bristol City. After
yeah.
that, it's not looking the
Not the
easiest.
kindest, is it?
Yeah,
No.
it's if for a team in need of some away wins, that's not looking too great. But uh, yeah, they need to start picking up some points away from home, because if many people do it, if their home form does go a little bit, then their form will just fall off right off a cliff. But yeah, I'm sure they'll get moving in some form. But I think they'll be kind of where they are maybe come the end of the season.
I think as
Absolutely.
well. Sorry, Carl. I think as well that with Derby, if you're gonna those away games, you don't anticipate Derby winning any of them at the minute. Maybe one or two, one at best. But those home games Annie just mentioned a minute ago, I think while you don't want to just rely on your home form, I think it's safe to say those home games are significant for Derby. When just off the top of my head, I think Annie said they played Plymouth and Portsmouth in two of them, Sheffield Wednesday, then I think it was Preston possibly. I could be making that up.
Swansea in one of them.
Swansea, sorry, yeah, my mistake. So yeah, but those are the home games that if Derby do well in those home games and don't do well in the upcoming away games, then it's not too bad. It's when they come up against like Plymouth away or I don't think they've played Portsmouth away yet. I could be
No,
wrong.
they haven't. No.
No, they haven't. So Portsmouth is another example of one. Yeah. So when you start getting those type of games, then yeah, they have started to get a couple of draws, which I think is a base to build from. But yeah, you just need to start turning one or two of them into wins, because if you then, and he said, if you drop off at home, then you're kind of on a hide to nothing if you don't pick up anything away from home. So, but yeah.
Absolutely, indeed. We got a new guest here. How you doing, Mark? Hope you well. Hey, please like and subscribe to this channel as well. I will put Annie and Michael's channel later on during the course after the show is done as well. I will put the channel so you can have a look as well. So one other thing we could go actually talk about Bluebirds. I know it looks kind of City fan. I have to say Norwich, goal from Boris sides early on yesterday, Michael, in the game yesterday, and then the loss in the last few minutes of the game, losing 2-1 from Cal Robinson and O'Dowda. That was a big turnaround from Cardiff.
I mean, fair play to them. I mean, the two Cardiff goals came within, including stoppage time, came within the last 5-6 minutes. So I think they would have took a point going into that. Right before Callum Robinson scores, I bet they would have, if you said to Cardiff fans to take a point, yeah, they would have been buzzed. To get all three is absolutely insane. And to be fair, the video Nathan sent us was actually really good. I love seeing Lim
Yeah,
play
I
that
saw it.
when the
Yeah,
camera's just shaking all over the place and you can't see what's going on. That's Lim stuff. But yeah, you're right. Another goal from Boris Sainz. Boris Sainz does what Boris Sainz does at this point. How I mean, I believe he came in at the start of last season and had to sort of bed in. And I recommend the Talk Norwich City guys on YouTube. They're really, really good. I will listen to their podcast all the time. And they were saying that if you settle into the area, and then this time, what's he on? 11 goals now already this season, which is just nuts. And he's not even a centre forward either, from a midfielder as well.
It's
He's
Emi
even,
Buendia levels, isn't it?
yeah,
pretty much. And that's not bad company from Norwich point of view to be a part of, is it? So, look, obviously, from Norwich's point of view, very disappointing to have not even won the game, let alone lost it. Callum Doyle, it looks got an assist for Boris Sain's goal. I mean, obviously a lot of it was Boris Sain's being magical, but like it's really good.
Handed it to him on a silver plate, right?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, absolutely. With the aid of a handball, possibly. We'll talk about that with Preston Bristol City. But yeah, no, from Cardiff point of view, to make a comeback is really impressive for them, and the run they've continued recently has been really, really promising. So yeah, I mean, again, I think Norwich are missing quite a few. I saw Norwich have quite a few key players out, but from Cardiff's point of view, you can again, I say this all the time, you can only beat what's put in front of you. There you go, as Mark says, would have happily taken the point. Sainz is on another level. We handled him well. But there you go. Omar Reeds. Yeah, Omar Reeds has done really well, hasn't he? I think we've got to give him a mention. Like, he's just done superbly, taking over from when they eventually got someone to take over from Errol Bullitt. And yeah, I mean, again, it's one with Cardiff where I remember there was Nathan put up. When was it? It was right before the start of the season because Cardiff played Sunderland first game, and he said something like, "Our best starting 11." Am I being deluded, or does that get near the playoffs?
I remember he said that crystal clear in that one. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
He was very concerned about everything to that first game. I know he was, because there was questions about the ownership and about the players that bring it in, and is it the squad? Is it good enough to stay from relegation again?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it just goes so with competent management, or maybe even a fresh face, what it ends up doing for you. So no, Cardiff, to get back to point, Cardiff, great win. Norwich, we'll wait and see how if this mentally affects them a bit until they get their players back, until all their better players back, like Angus Gunn and Josh Sargent being two key players that they're missing at the moment. Having said that, like we've said before, the league's still very tight. I mean, Norwich are 3 points off the playoffs, and obviously Cardiff's run of form has got them into 17th. But as Annie kind of alluded to before, it feels like a bit of a it feels like you can't really say, oh, they've risen up to 17th, because one bad result either way could get them back into the relegation zone. So yeah, massive for Cardiff.
I think you have to look at the points at this point of the season rather than position. I think that's
absolutely, yeah.
And that's more telling. So
yeah,
but not that we can come to any conclusions about anyone.
No, but you're right. Like, you've got to look at it.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, over the course of the season, the table will start to form itself. Will really form itself, and you'll find out who's in the relegation bottle picture and who's above that. And if Cardiff keep up their run of form, then I think I'm pretty confident in saying they'll be above that.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that as well too.
And also, it's helpful. If every team Norwich City play, if the opposition they play loaned Callum O'Dowda for one game, they'd probably lose, because Callum O'Dowda against Norwich is like Diego Maradona. Did it for us as well. Mind, it's ridiculous.
It's always like a players who just score against a certain opponent every time, don't they?
Yeah. And the goal is really good finish. That second goal is really good finish as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He had to shoot through a crowd of bodies, didn't he? So yeah, it's not an easy thing. Not an easy goal to score, that one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But
appreciate that.
Really
fair
good
analysis. Yeah, it is a fair analysis for what we all agree for your team as well. And also Norwich is not having the strength of the squad at the moment, but it's a good win for you guys yesterday, and fairly deserved as well. So. Absolutely right. We've got 4 games left to go. We're gonna keep our games for the last 3. Let's start off at the Den early on today. Millwall getting the 1-0 win against Burnley. Well, we heard from Dad and from Turf Moorhouse TV, and he
wasn't happy, was he?
Wasn't he happy? Yeah.
Okay, I think the thing I'll say before Andy says anything, what is it he said? Parker Ball, masterclass.
Yeah.
It's so typical Scott Parker. It's just the same story like every single season. It's like, you start well. We looked at the numbers, didn't we? We went, that's not sustainable. They're not going to score with every shot they have for the rest of the season. And hallelujah, it's not sustainable. Their form has fallen not really badly, because they're not really losing games. They lost today, but they're not really losing games apart from that. But they're struggling against teams who, with the quality Burnley have, and
you wouldn't expect them to struggle against.
No.
Yeah, and team, some of the teams are performing under expectations, like QPR, for example. They're performing under expectations. Preston to a certain degree as well. But they're really just so flat. They're just so uninspiring. And the quality they have, it's not good enough from a Burnley perspective. Yeah, they're missing some key players. Jordan Bayer, for example, Joe Worrell, they're missing as well. They're missing Lyle Foster, I believe.
Yeah.
The last couple of games, Zian Fleming obviously didn't play today because he's on loan from Millwall. But even without that, I don't know how to say his name. Hotondi, the Benin international.
Yeah, Tondi, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they signed for a lot of money in the summer. Sarmiento we saw what he could do for Ipswich and West Brom last season. Rodriguez still very capable at this level. They've got quality, a hell of a lot of quality, and Millwall are very good, especially at the Den. That's a really difficult place to go.
It is very difficult, and they've made it difficult after the last few games. They've made it a lot difficult now.
And just maybe in the cup in a few weeks we'll look at this result in isolation and go, maybe that was just a blip, and maybe Millwall are just really good at the Dan, and that'll be a tough place for any team to go and get 3 points. But it's just a recurrence of what we kind of expected from Scott Parker. We kind of expected they'll struggle, they won't be convincing, but they'll be in and around the top six, if not in the top four, top three, maybe even the top two. But at the moment, with Sunderland doing really well, Leeds looking really strong, Sheffield United looking really strong, it's not good from a Burnley perspective because the quality they have, the attacking quality they have, and Mike Trezor as well, who was tipped to be one of the best players in the Championship, with the kind of promise he showed in Europe, but yeah, they need to start. They need to start being more convincing. Otherwise, Scott Parker, despite Burnley still being in the top four, they're fourth at the minute. They're 4 points clear of seventh. He'll be gone because it's just like it's not going to be sustainable. It kind of reminds me of West Brom with Valerian Ishmael a couple of seasons
Yeah.
ago, where they sacked Ishmael whilst they were in the top six, but despite them getting some results, nothing was convincing. It was just so bland, and it just didn't fit. And it feels a bit like that. It feels a bit like that at Burnley with Parker. But yeah, I don't think certainly for someone who's watched Scott Parker be in the Championship with Fulham, um, a couple of times, and Bournemouth, and just stumble across the line and really struggle with arguably for those 2 seasons with Fulham and with Bournemouth having the best squads in the division, and struggle and stumble across the line and relying on individual brilliance time and again, just nowhere near good enough. It's just
No.
like a competent manager gets those 2 squads in particular, wins them the league because they were by far and away, in my opinion, the best squads in the league. But just complete kind of stale football. And I saw someone in August kind of say this. He was a Fulham fan, and he said this about Parker when he was at Fulham. They started really well that season. They won like 4-0, 5-0 a couple of times, and
It did.
started really well. But then he'd mentioned mentioned the phrase, sucking all the individuality out of the team, and no Koleosho. If you look at the team, Koleosho, Fleming, Hannibal, Laurent, all kind of flair players, and have been
And even Jaden Anthony as well. You can add him in that category as well.
Manuel Benson, Aaron Ramsey, Hanno Masenga. They're good flair players. You just got to let them be free, and he's kind of just not allowing them to do that. It's all very stale, all very methodical, all pedestrian. And yeah, it reminds me of a certain Russell Martin. But we'll not get onto that topic.
Busted
who
out the
got
win
his first
yesterday.
win, I
I was
believe,
surprised.
yesterday. So we'll
I didn't
gloss
think he'd had it.
over that. But
We'll gloss over that. But yeah,
if Burnley keep this up, it's concerning for them, isn't it?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly that.
Well,
Do you see Scott Parker being there by the end of the season at Burnley?
If he gets to a run of form where he falls out of the top six and performances get even worse than they are now, which at the minute probably just sound like a stretch, but you never know with it. I wouldn't rule out him getting sacked. Put it that way. I wouldn't even be totally surprised with the way it's going at the minute if he's not there even by 2025, as in January 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at, and again, if this is wrong, blame Sky Sports, as I said before. But the XG today was 0. Hang on, let me get this up because it's a pretty bad damning statistic. It was 0.17 XG. And when you list off the players that Annie's just said for Burnley, that is criminal for that squad of players to barely be creating anything. Very quickly to be balanced here and mention it for Millwall. Millwall fully deserved to win the game and had the better chances, should have won by more goals. They had 2 really good efforts at the end of the first half alone, and I didn't even watch the game till probably about 35 minutes in. And from that point, even Millwall just looked so impressive. Their structure, their rigidity out of possession was excellent. They looked threatening when they had the ball. And it's safe to say that, the Den has become a very tough place for teams to go again. And it kind of lost that over, let's say, last season. Neil Harris coming back. Neil Harris has started to really get that getting that sort of aura back to the Den. And I believe their next 2 home games are Leeds and Sunderland, funnily enough. So that's going to be a very... Yeah, we'll see what happens. Whether they can get results against both of them back to back, I'm not sure, but you never know. But just to look on to Burnley, right? So if you look at their results, so they lost away at Sunderland. That was their first game. They dropped points. Fair enough. That's kind of. I'd like to think we're doing pretty well for not to be a bad result. Then this is where you start to get problematic. Drawing at home to Blackburn. Blackburn have started well. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're Burnley, it's not a great result really. Then you got Leeds away 1-0, to be fair. Yeah, okay, I know. I heard that, obviously we know how much Leeds did dominate a lot of that game, but that is a very good result, to be fair. 1-0 away at Leeds, probably result of the season so far. Portsmouth, scraping over the line. Then don't beat Oxford. You scrape again with a penalty, I believe, against Plymouth. 0-0 at home to Preston. Beat Sheffield Wednesday 2-0 away, which was a solid result, but Sheffield had a glorious chance at 0-0, where if that goes in, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And then these couple of results here. Hull 1, Burnley 1, Burnley 0, QPR 0, Millwall 1, Burnley 0. And I've noticed another pattern here. I think it's something like 3 of their last 5 they failed to score, something like that. So, and recently they've only scored more than 1 goal once since 21st of September when they beat Portsmouth. And if you look at the fixtures Burnley have had, they haven't exactly had too many tests, have they? In terms of who's going to be expected to compete around them. I mean, obviously every game's difficult. I mean, Millwall away, to be fair, today is a hard fixture, but it's just not good enough for the team that Parker's got. He's got to be getting so much more out of this squad. This is why I said in the summer there was links when we didn't get a manager, and I said, "Would you take Scott Parker at Sunderland?" And I said no, because I feel like he's someone that teams get promoted in spite of Scott Parker because of the quality of the teams that he's managing, rather than because of how good he is. If you compare, right, Daniel Farke, for example, really good example. The first 18-19, the season Norwich went up. Like, they were never in a million years that season expected to do what they did.
No.
And yes, to some degree, Farke had the players there. But what he also had was the coach in Nous to be able to play him brilliantly almost week in, week out, and to compete against some big heavy hitters who spent quite a bit of money that year. Or a much more recent example, Kieran McKenna at Ipswich last season. There's an example of someone who is a really good manager. And I'm not denying, look, Scott Parker has obviously got parachute payment jobs, but I've always said I'll be very keen to see how well he does when he goes to a team that doesn't have parachute payments in the Championship. Then I think you'll find out how good a manager he really is. Now, look, like Andy said, we might look back at this and say, okay, Millwall away, hard place, blah, 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 blah. And it's not like they are losing it. That's only their second loss of the season. But again, it's those tepid draws against Preston, QPR, Hull, Blackburn, Oxford, just naming a few off the top of my head. And again, like I said, for the squad that they have, it just simply isn't acceptable. And if they keep going the way they are, they could possibly, if this keeps going long term and he still stays, this could go from, forget top 2, they could be in a battle just to finish in the playoffs, which you never thought with Burnley you'd say with the players they had.
Absolutely. And he wasn't even their first choice manager, because it was originally supposed to go to Van Nistelrooy before he went to Manchester United under Ten Hag, and that was, and that was Burnley's preferred choice. But for Millwall, the form have taken from 20th to 7th place in the league space of 15 days. That's how tremendous the form has been of, not having much of the ball, but very clinical.
Millwall, you're on about this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like you said, I mean, they've won their last, Millwall have won their last 3 games, 1-0, I believe
Yeah.
it is. So, again, like I say, you obviously don't want to just rely on clean sheets, but while you're so rigid and so solid and making it such a difficult place, especially at the Den, to make it such a hard place for your opponents to come to, you've always got the spirit and always got the magnitude of getting results. And even to be fair, if you're looking at it, I mean, yeah, Millwall, okay, they lost away at Cardiff, for example, which isn't the worst result in the world given Cardiff's form. They drew away at West Brom. They beat Preston at home, lost at home to Luton. Hang on, how'd they get on in August? Yeah, they beat Stuff Sheffield Wednesday. They tend to. They're one that if you get the balance right of being good defensively, you would especially at Den, you'd always back them to get one chance and take it if
Yeah.
they could do. But even saying that today, I think does a disservice to Millwall just by how good and impressed I was by them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, you can't take that away from Mill after today's
Their
performance.
their defensive run has got better. If you notice, it's since Jaffa Tanganga's come back into the team. I think his first game was Holloway,
Yeah.
where they drew 0-0, and since then their defensive record has been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, because
Leonard.
without him, they struggle without him on that right hand side. Yeah.
Yeah, first couple of games they shipped 3 against Watford and then 4 against us. So they struggled first couple of games, and then they really started to build in terms of a defensive structure, and obviously that's what Neil Harris ultimately wants, a good defensive structure to build off.
And
Yeah.
one last thing before we move on. Is Neil Harris probably the best example of someone? When people say don't go back for ex-managers because it never works a second time. Neil Harris says hold my beer. It's not going too badly for him at the minute.
Nathan Jones did pretty well, didn't he? With his
To be fair, yeah, he did. No, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely. Right, we're coming down to our game. So I'm gonna start off with yours, Mike. Looking at the draw yesterday at my trade Loftus Road. Disappointed not to get the 3 points, and also you did say before we came, Bellingham sent off was probably the right decision after a bit of it was a bit of a reckless tackle.
I think initially when I watched it, I wasn't. But bear in mind, I'm just watching it once without seeing replays. And my initial reaction was, he's got sent off for that. But when you look at it back, he does go in with enough recklessness on the in terms of the way his body's going towards the opposition man. And I did. Part of me still, to some degree, feels that it's a strong yellow, like a very strong yellow. But I also understand why he was sent off because in the modern game these days, those challenges are deemed of red card offences. Um, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to swarm the referee, though. That's dissent, but I could be well wrong on that. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
last
no,
season they were meant to
no, you're
start
not allowed
stamping
to.
stuff like
Yeah,
this out, unless they've revised those rules, and I've been living under a rock all summer. But so it might be very well that. Weirdly, first half, Sunderland were both good on the ball and infuriating with it at the same time. Because when we got when we got to our rhythm and we got some good passing movements, QPR were backing off a lot. They couldn't live with us. But at the same time, I don't know what it was, but for some reason we were also quite sloppy on other occasions with possession. Even though in that, I don't know if you've seen any of the highlights, but we had 2 very good chances in the first 10 minutes when um, I can't remember. It might have been Trey Hume or Dan Neil puts a good through ball to Wilson Isidore, and it's kind of a one-on-one. It's obviously a harder chance than I'm making it sound, but obviously if he gets it on target, there's a good chance it's a goal, and Sunderland go 1-0 up, and then obviously the game's totally different. Dan Neil from a corner routine somehow, even on a scuffed shot, manages to hit the post, which is something
yeah,
pretty incredible, which would have, if that had gone in, that would have been one of the most mental goals I would have seen Sunderland score ever. Um, as the game grew on, QPR started to grow into it, but I didn't feel they were creating anything that was massively concerning Simon Moore in the Sunderland goal. Then obviously the second half starts. We start to get a bit more of a foothold in the game. We start to get a bit better. And I would have, and before the game, if you'd said this to me without knowing that we were going to go down in 10 men, I wouldn't have taken it because I thought, well, you don't have a God given right. If you're wanting to get in the top two, games like that, you need to not should win, but find a way to win, I should say. That's probably the better phrase to use. But obviously, as soon as the red card happened, I was like, right, change my mind, I'll take a point. Because although, yes, it's not guaranteed that you beat teams down to 10 men, playing with 10 men is still bloody difficult. And
yeah,
especially when we had 10 men for over half an hour of the game. In fact, to be honest, we had 6 minutes of stoppage time. The referee somehow let that go to 6 minutes when it was meant to be only 5, but there you go, we'll let that slide. Um,
Because
Either way,
did this happen before against Burnley? You were down to 10 men as well. Because I remember that earlier, you won that game as well.
yeah, that one was. Yeah, I mean that one, the red card happened like the 85th minute or something. Whereas this one, there's enough time to work for QPR. I mean, and to be fair, QPR a couple of minutes, literally felt probably less than 5 minutes after the red card, had a great chance on the left hand side. I can't remember if it was what's his name? Not Elias Chair, the other one. I can't remember what the what's the name of the striker? This is going to annoy me. This
Salah.
Seller, that's it. Yes, I think it might have been Seller. It was either Seller or Chair, just because I remember a number 1 on the shirt, on the kit when they had the shot. And Seller's number 18, but he had a shot that was very, very like literally that close to going.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
Yeah.
obviously, I thought, well, if that goes in, then QPR wouldn't have been surprised if QPR win that by 2 or 3 goals, really. But I will say, while QPR obviously have their own issues, they're not the best of sides, obviously. But I still rate Cifuentes a lot, and I think he will get them out of trouble if they can get a few key players back. So to be honest, going away from home with 10 men for over half an hour of the game, to come away from it with a point and manage the game well enough, I think is very encouraging, to be honest. I think, and we have to remember, you're not going to win every game, are you? I mean, QPR still haven't won away from home. Sorry, won at home, I mean. But they've ended up drawing a fair few, I think, recently at Loftus Road. So, yeah, do you know what? Fair enough. And for context, okay, granted, maybe this means a bit less given how Burnley have done, but Burnley didn't beat QPR at home with 11 men last week. So I think to go not to Turnmore, see, I've got them stuck in my head now, to go to Loftus Road and get a point with enough time for QPR to take advantage of the extra man, yeah, take it, move on to the midweek. And by the way, as well, with Burnley losing, we were 5 points clear of third going into the weekend. So the gap's only decreased by 1 point. So, yeah, to be honest, yeah, I'm pretty content with how the weekend's gone overall.
Absolutely. Right. Annie, I'm going to play this and I'm going to say, your team did cheat a bit, and this is the reaction I would say.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. You get your goddamn ugly ass on.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man.
You enjoyed this too much.
See? Right. Me and Michael debate about this. Hirokata's goal was a blatant handball. That is a perfectly cheat. That is don't see, yeah, you're gonna
Yeah, it's handball. Yeah, it's handball.
Yeah, exactly. You can't deny that. And I feel sorry for Paul Higginbottom despite the loss 3-1 to you guys yesterday, but it was a blatant handball. Even I saw it. I thought, even I didn't need to see it again and again. I saw it. I thought, yeah, that just, yeah.
Meh. It's cut. I'd say it's his shoulder. If anything,
brushes his hand. The ball moves towards his hand. He's not meant to get.
Yeah,
like what's he meant to do there?
No, it's kind of a natural movement, isn't it? Just put your arms. Don't you walk?
Oh yeah, just parry the ball.
Yeah,
run like that. No, don't you?
No.
It's a blatant handball. I don't know what he's. I mean, to be fair, how the referee misses it is beyond me. But the linesman, luckily for us, was on the other side, so didn't see it either. Yeah, I'd say from Heckingbottom actually. I don't know. I don't know if he mentioned it, but he kind of alluded to the fact that Jordan Storey should have got that header back to Woodman with a little bit more punch. But yeah, it's not excusing the fact that Hirakawa literally punches the ball away from Freddie Woodman. And if you look at his reaction, he looks very pleased with himself after.
I know he does. That little smile, like you little shit. You get away with that.
Yeah, it's not good from Hirakawa, but I love that man, so I'm not going to say anything.
I thought Japanese people were supposed to be very honest and not lie, but it turns out that
To be fair, what's he actually meant to do after Pete does that? Is he like
he could have done what Miroslav Klose did years ago when he thought he was brought down and it was a die and he realized told the referee it's not a foul and the referee overturned his decision.
Well, in that situation, what's he meant to do? Is he just meant to miss the open goal? Is he just because his first touch after that?
Yeah, of course he is. I mean, sportsmanship. Remember?
I know.
I'm not. No, I wouldn't do that.
Forget the sportsmanship. We got the win. That's it. So
I mean, yeah. So I know. How dare he put his team first and his career first? Ooh, how convenient.
Listen. I'm sure this will come back to bite us, and they'll. To be fair, it's already bitten us this season, where we won the game, but Millwall had a penalty where it literally hits George Tanner's chest. We've had a couple of apologies so far this season already, so swings and roundabouts and whatnot, and I'm sure this midweek we'll get shafted by some terrible penalty decision. But no, it's not good from you. Who, apart from that, Yu Hirakawa had a sublime game. He was absolutely ridiculously good, and so were the rest of the team. In what was a pretty good win. Yeah, it's cheating. You shouldn't be doing that.
Are you going to get onto your pure filth moment yet?
Sorry, did I mention that we scored the best goal of the century?
Hang
third
on,
one.
sorry if this is going to get caught right, but this music's perfect.
It's
Just have that music and his face watching the goal. He's just like the most contented man in the whole of Bristol.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's so perfect. It starts with Mark Sykes. It goes to, I think it goes to Max Bird. It goes back to McGuane, back to Max Bird, into Hirakawa, little back heel. Oh, so good. And then the finish as well. He tried that same thing. Second half, just after we scored the second, and he just missed the target, and you could see his reaction after he missed that, and he was like, "Oh God, he should have scored that," and he probably should have. He was kind of 1-on-1 with the keeper, but that third goal is just utter filth. If you could hang a video on your wall, I'd probably hang that on the wall. It was absolute. It's ridiculous. It's just, and that is what Liam Manning ball is kind of all about. I don't want to come across as hipster. Ooh, Liam Manning ball and all that, but
Liam Manning ball. Yeah.
That's the patterns of play that we've been like dying to see. He's been in the job for about a year now, and that's kind of what we've waited for. Kind of those attacking patterns, and yeah, that's exactly what we're getting at the minute. And we're playing some really good football. We're winning games. We're doing it in different ways as well. This was more of a defensive, defense, maybe slightly defensive performance because we started with the back three. We also had to make a couple of really early changes in the first half with Joe Williams going off injured. Marcus McGuane came in, and then George Tanner came off, who's a right back, and Hayden Roberts has to come on. He's a left back, so we had to change formation. So Mark Sykes, who initially started at left wing back, he had to move to right wing, and we changed from a back three to a back four. So there's all kinds of confusion. And Zach Viner, who's a centre back by trade, and he's very centre back. He hasn't got much pace. He had to move to right back against Brad Potts and Kane Kessler Hayden. So it was not an easy game from our perspective in terms of it was very turbulent, and we had to change formations and change personnel. And dang it, I'm sure our game plan would have changed as well. But we saw the game out, and good teams just find a way, and we found a way. We were very clinical. We probably had four very big chances, and we took three of them, whilst restricting Preston to, I'd say, one big chance from open play. That's about it, I'd say, and it's very little. And the goal they scored is a very good set piece. You can't really stop that in many moments. So kind of hold your hands up on that. But we found a way to win, and if we can start turning some of these draws, because we're not losing games at the minute. We're 8 unbeaten. We're not losing games, even against the best teams. We've drawn to Leeds. And we've got 4 really tough fixtures coming up. United this
Yeah, if
midweek.
you could turn up on Tuesday, that'd be much appreciated.
Yeah, it'd be much appreciated from my perspective as well, please.
All 3 of us hoping that you beat Sheffield United. That'd be lovely.
Right.
Yeah.
Get into the top 6, please. But yeah, no. If we
Hope
can,
Leeds and Sunderland out before we play.
right. But no, we've got some really tough fixtures coming up. We've got Sheffield United this midweek, and then Norwich away, who, of course, are unbeaten at home in a calendar for 365 days. And then we've got Burnley after the international break, and then Watford away, who haven't lost at home yet this season and have won. I think, have they won every game at home so far, Watford?
They've drawn a couple, but they've won most of them, I think.
Yeah.
But they're stupidly good at home. So it's going to be tough, but if we're 8th come the end of these kind of run of fixtures, or 9th or even 10th, if we're only a couple of places below where we are at the minute by the end of these next 4 fixtures, we'll be in a really good position to set ourselves up for a top 6 challenge after that, because obviously our fixtures get nicer after that run of fixtures. But yeah, really promising. And quite frankly, if you'd said 7 points from Middlesbrough away, Stoke away, and Preston away, I would have taken it. And we're certainly looking like a side who are just starting to turn the clocks and just starting to dial up the kind of intensity and how we're playing. Because to be honest, if you looked at the team yesterday, we're still without Campering, who's our starting left back. We're still without Scott Twine, without Fally Mayulu and Sinclair Armstrong, both on the bench. Who else is missing? George Stan and Joe Williams obviously went off in the middle of the game. Rob Dickey came back from injury, so we've got a lot of players out missing as well. We've probably got a bit of an injury crisis at the moment, but winning at Preston, especially with a Preston side who haven't lost at home under Heckingbottom yet, seriously impressive. And in the manner we did it as well, despite that slightly dubious handball decision. But it's controversial.
Dubious. It was
It's
clear.
controversial. Let's put it that way. But yeah, a really good win and seriously impressive.
Here's one last for both of you before we move on to talk about Leeds. Bristol City's third goal. Is there going to be a better team goal than this season scored than that?
If there is, it's gonna have to be seriously impressive. It's gonna have to be like from a goal kick, and it's like a passing move that's like crisp and fast and quick and into the goal, and no like deflections or anything. But yeah,
if that goal from you guys is not winning goal of the month for November already, then I think, or at the very least being seriously contended and popular, then I'm stunned. Obviously, someone else could score like a Raspin volley from like the halfway line, and then maybe that's different. And by the way, pretty much, So Boris Sainz will probably get 2 of the bloody nominations for October, won't he? So that's the point. Yeah, I think you'll find if I'll go out on a limb and say no, I don't think a better team goal is scored than that this season.
Can I just ask a quick question to both of you? At the moment, Bristol City are 9th, I think. We're below Blackburn.
I'll check the table. Go on.
We're below Millwall, who are 7th. We're on the same number of points as Blackburn, who we've all said have had a really, really good start to the season. Do you think we're in a top six fight?
Well, I mean, based on the table,
yeah.
Why not? Why not? If I'm talking about, for example, West Brom, Norwich, Middlesbrough in that conversation, why shouldn't Bristol City be in that? You're above both Norwich and Borough, who are 2 of the bigger heavy hitters in this division, even without parachute payments. So I think the problem with Bristol City, and you said this yourself, I think it's kind of, in some small way, and this is the main way, I would compare you a little bit to Borough, where it's like, you'll get a run. It depends when you next lose a game, how you bounce back from it. And you don't lose many games, to be fair to you. But what I mean by bounce back is, say, for example, you lose a game, then you bounce back with win, draw, loss, win, draw, something like that. You respond with a decent sequence of results. I'll tell you this, mate. What was it? So Sheffield United, Norwich, Burnley, and Watford's your next 4. Is that right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you won at least 2 of those games. Put it that way.
Take it. Yeah, I'll take that.
But to be honest, I think I wouldn't. I've got a funny feeling you'll beat Burnley. I don't know why.
You know what?
I honestly wouldn't bet against it. Ashton Gate's not the easiest place to go in the Championship, so I think you barely lose at home. I don't think you've lost at home this season yet, have you?
We're unbeaten at home this season. Yeah.
There you go. So that's so please remain unbeaten after you play Sheffield United and Burnley. That'd be champion. Fantastic. But being serious though, I mean, I don't know what Carl thinks, but I mean, you're what, 2 points off 6th, and with Burnley losing, okay, let me put a different spin on it. You are 4 points off 4th. If you want to look at it that way, 4 points off 4th, 3 points off 5th, 2 points off 6th, if my maths is right.
Getting a nosebleed now. Cheers.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, and look, you can say your goal difference is 0, but let's be honest, like West Brom's is 6, Norwich's is 5. Like, it's a couple of goals swing either way, it overturns it, doesn't it?
To be fair, we lost 2 games 3-0, so that took a massive
hit.
Yeah,
there you go. That would have been what it's about. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's again similar with Sunderland for top 2. I think both for whether you're top 6 picture, whether we're top 2 picture, I think we'll probably find out the backside of Christmas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Then that's when you'll enter for both of our teams. You'll start to enter the business end of the season. But I don't know what Carl thinks. Do you think they are?
Do you know what? I think you deserve to be in the discussion. Absolutely. You're like I said, you're above Middlesbrough and Norwich, and the two big hitters are supposed to be way above you at the moment. Should be way above you. And like I said, yourself and Millwall had a chasing pack. Because you got teams such as West Brom and not being in good form, and probably is. Do you know what? And I think Anthony Herbert has made a good point as you just come in with his message, and this is his opinion. I think losing Con was a big slice at the pie because of the way you style play. I don't know. It's a good point. I think if you could get one or two more good players, I think you're in the discussion now. I think you're part of the discussion now, but it's now what you do after January if you're still in that hunt. That is the question part. And as Dirk said, you both will have a say. Both have a say on this and think maybe we do need 1 or 2 more players, but at the moment we are a bit at home. We're getting good results there. We don't mind losing one game as long as we get a good decent points out of each month. Then we can still be in that discussion. So who knows? As I said, I think you are in the discussion. Yeah, you've drawn 7. I know out of
that's
the other
quite
team.
a lot.
It's quite a lot out of the teams in the top 10. You've drawn quite a lot compared. I think Norwich and West Brom are just behind you on 6, so with 6 draws. So yeah, if you can get those bit more wins, I think you definitely be in that discussion, no doubt about it. I can't see you be like another Preston, like how they with their too many draws and not scoring goals, because you can score goals. So it's just as long as you can get some of the players back from you who are still not being in the squad for a bit, I think you'll be all right. I think with Minor coming back from his brilliant release, I think that's been a big, huge plus because with his absence, he did get that win away at Middlesbrough, which is fantastic. Came back, get a good draw against us over last weekend. As long as you can keep that run of form, I think you're in that discussion.
Coming back from 2-0 down to get a point at Stoke as well, which isn't an easy thing to do. So I'll ask Andy this before we move on to Leeds, right? So let's say, how many games are we until January? Like a dozen games or something, I think it is.
Yeah.
Let's say by the time January comes around, let's say you're 11th or 12th, but you're like 4 or 5 points off the playoffs going into January. Would you take that if you were offered it now? Let me make it easier for you. 2 to 4 points.
2 to 4. Yeah, I would
So
take that.
You're within 1 or 2 wins of the top 6, if you know what I mean, or 1 win and a draw or 2.
I would take that, and depending on the teams, let's say Blackburn, Watford, and Norwich are in the top in that conversation with us at that point, and maybe someone like a Swansea or something like that. Who else is in that conversation?
Middlesbrough?
Middlesbrough. Yeah, I would anticipate us probably being the team that actually goes for it in that January window. To be honest, we've spent quite a lot in the summer. But there's the clear intent of, we're going to back Liam Manning. So I think if we're in that conversation by the time the January window comes around, I'm not saying we do a hull and spend a hell of a lot of money on a hell of a lot of loan players. I'd say we sign maybe 2 or 3 players that maybe go into our starting 11 and seriously improves us. I can see us kind of doing that if by the January window we're in that top 6 conversation. But if you say 2 to 4 points off the top 6, but still, if we're 10th, 11th, 12th, if we're still pushing, but there's still a lot of traffic above us, I wouldn't be confident that we'd actually jump over that traffic and get into that playoff
Do you
places.
think,
But
though, that what might help you is the fact that if you compare yourselves to, right, let's say, I can't imagine West Brom's bad run will last forever. They will win games again at some point. But let's say if you compared to the likes of your West Brom, or let's go really audacious, Burnley. Let's say Burnley, if this continues and they're in the 5th and 6th fight rather than upper end playoffs top 2 thing. Norwich, Borough, the one thing they will all have to contend with that you won't is expectation in comparison to those teams. And that could be something that Liam Manning would say, why not? And if you look at it this way, I mean, you've beaten Middlesbrough already. You've got a home game against Burnley coming up. They're not exactly playing great. Norwich, okay, full calendar year since they've lost at home, but that ends at some point. Nobody can be ruled out at this point. And I think if you do, the problem I had with what Hull did last January was the fact that, and again, I saw a lot of our fans going, "Oh, we should just do what Hull did." What? Gamble everything on the next 6 months and then not think beyond that. That's not sustainable. And I get it. Look, if you're going to get those players and you then get promoted, it's fine, but it's a risky strategy if you don't. Ipswich was a bit different, for example, because if they didn't get top two, they always had playoffs as a backup, so they still had a chance of going up. I think if Bristol City avoid doing what Hull did, which I think you're probably too smart to do what Hull did, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think if you within reason go for it and push for a couple of really good players, but if you don't go up, then it doesn't set you back a few years, if you know what I mean. Because I get the impression of Hull, whatever money they got for likes of Philogene and Greaves, will be set back from what they did last January. Whereas I don't see Bristol City doing that by comparison. And I think it's almost kind of like, to me, you've been steadily building towards this, especially since Liam Manning's took charge. Is that fair to say?
We've had to go through a couple of years of real financial pain to get to a position where we can spend money on serious money on some of these players we've signed in the summer. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I think okay, I would say if you're in to answer your question right now, obviously in terms of table, yes, because you're a couple of points off, but obviously the league's very congested at that point, at that portion of the table. Not quite as much as the bottom half, but still, if you're around where you are going into the January window, you're definitely in a playoff picture, I think. Absolutely.
I'd hope so.
Indeed. Okay.
Go on then, Carl. Your turn.
Save the best till last, actually. I have to say.
Excuse me, check the league table. Thank you very much. Even though we won't finish first, but there you go.
Well, I have to say, Plymouth not even had a chance to take to register a shot, not even on target or off target, not even any shot. And actually, 20. Well, we had 17.
When was the last time a team did that then? Because I remember Millwall at Blackburn a couple of seasons ago under Gary Rowett had no shots, but I don't remember a team actually having no shots. I heard of no shots on target.
Oh Jesus, you weren't kidding. I thought Carl was exaggerating. I'm like, Jesus, no shots at all.
No shots.
Nothing. They didn't even lift a finger, Plymouth, yesterday after we beat Fred. And actually, what a goal from Dan James. He didn't mean to score it, but the way he scored it, he looked like it was a toe put, but he was leading back. He had to take the shot quickly. So, and a good goal from Peru and Brendan Harrison as well. The game was done by half time. I'm not going to lie to you. It was really good performance, and to see Joseph Guardiolgi, who's coming on a free transfer, I think I think we got that leadership as well as experience in that defence midfield, which we desperately needed for quite a bit after Glenn Kamara left in the summer, and to see Charlie Crew coming on as well. He's been touted as another next big thing at Leeds after Archie Gray. So yeah, it was a good thumping win for our team this weekend, and I'm kind of happy with it.
Kind of, I love that. I'm just kind of happy.
You know me. I'm just.
You're kind of the opinion I've got. It's different circumstances, but we're both kind of going. It's 13 games. Let's see where we are after about 33, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm encouraged by with Leeds, and it's one thing that we've always said and Sunderland have it as well, Bristol City will have it, as Annie knows, and Leeds will have it. It's the typical, we've done a Bristol City, or we've done a Sunderland, we've done a Leeds, where you tend to you stumble in results that you shouldn't be. But the one thing I've been very impressed, and it's a sequence that's gone on since the 28th of September. So you beat Coventry 3-0 at home. But your home record since then, so you beat Coventry 3-0, beat Sheffield United 2-0, beat Watford 2-1, beat Plymouth 3-0. But away from home, you've started to... Yes, okay, maybe away from home, you haven't got as many... You haven't won since, Cardiff away. But the thing that I'm impressed by, Norwich and Sunderland away, 2 difficult fixtures. Bristol City away, difficult fixture. It was the typical cliche. You win your home games, draw your away games. It's a recipe for a strong foundation for automatic promotion, if not winning the league. So that's one of the reasons why, I don't know what Annie thinks about this. This is the reason I've been saying I think Leeds win the division, because I think you've got a manager who knows how to get you out of the Championship. Yes, okay, last season, but let's get real. He got 90 points, and 99 times out of 100, that wins you the division, let alone gets you second.
Yeah.
It's just because Leicester and Ipswich were freakishly good at the top. Yes, Leicester stumbled, but points tallied, they were still great. So you've got a manager who knows how to get you out of the league. You've still kept what I can see, the playing style that you had last season, while still losing Rute, Kamara, Somerville, Gray, all of them, and you've had to basically contend with all of that upheaval. You've got through it. You're winning home games. You're scoring. I mean, the last few games. I mean, what? You've only Watford have scored against you at home
Yeah.
since you've started this sequence of home wins. So you're keeping clean sheets at the other end. You're putting teams to the sword. And when you're going in tough away games, you're not losing them. Like
No,
that's
we think the only team are beaten away from home actually this season. So yeah.
yeah. So I mean, and even then, look, you've beaten Sheffield Wednesday. You've beaten Sheffield Wednesday away. You've beaten Cardiff away, keeping clean sheets in both of them. So, and you still haven't lost away from home, have you?
No.
So, that's got to be an encouragement in itself. So, as I said before, I'm delighted with where Sunderland are at the minute, but I still stand by that for me. And I had West Brom away as well, by the way, when they were on a good run of form at the time, even though it was only a couple of games in, but they were still showing a lot of steeliness at the Hawthorn. So, to me, I still believe Leeds are the team to beat in terms of across the whole season. And if, say, for example, this coming week, you've got Millwall away, which, in many ways, Millwall winning is probably the best result to happen for Leeds because it'll make Daniel, not that they would anyway, but it'll make Daniel Farker go, hold on a moment. Like, I don't think he would have took them lightly, but it would have to take extra notice of how Millwall's strengths at the Den and be better prepared for it. The only concern I'd have for you lot in that game, probably when we go there as well, is if you have to grow down to Millwall's playing the way Millwall are best accustomed to, I should say. I was going to say drag down to their level, but that's not fair on Millwall. That's quite patronising.
Yeah.
But you get the point. And then you got QPR at home next week. You get a minimum of 4 points there, I would think. Or even if you lost at Millwall, you'd be better if you did, then bounce back with QPR. I'm rambling, but basically, I think Leeds. I think you will be positioned to be the team to win the division. But I've said that before.
Yeah, well, you said it before, and like I said, we did talk about you are this year's Ipswich, maybe this year's Ipswich as well.
Which means if we finish second, I will be over the moon with.
I know. I'm just looking at from the results by game 13 from last season. Leeds were third, and they lost that game, and it was like, we only started to draw that first 8 games. We had 3 wins, 4 draws, 1 loss. What was last season, and then we got to we lost 2 games and had 3 wins by this time this last year. So it's a little bit more different now because we're not as many points as we were behind the teams we were last season. I think that's been a huge difference.
Do you know another thing? I want to ask Annie this, actually, someone who's probably going to be a neutral on this. When it comes to the automatic promotion picture, particularly when it comes to Leeds, they got 90 points last season. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was 90 points to finish on. Do they need, if Leeds are to win the league or get second, I don't think they need to get to that points tally this year because I don't think the league is as good. I think they need to get reasonably close to it, but not like of that level or be quite of the level of last season. Is that fair?
To win the league.
Whether to win the league or finish second, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I think if they're 75% or 80% of the level they are last year, they get top 2 at least.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think if they get to 85 points, they're probably there in terms of a top 2 finish. And if they hit 90 again, they're probably definitely going to win the league.
You'd be astonished if they didn't, would you?
Yeah. So,
looking at here from the season before, Sheffield United went up the second with 91 points. Burnley was 101. That in 2022-23 season. The year before,
wasn't there a fair gap between Sheffield United and third though in that season?
There was. It was Luton. It was like a 10-point gap. Yeah. And then say Bournemouth went up, just missed it back. Fulham went up on 90 points. They were champions. Bournemouth were just 2 points behind them in 21-22, and then So it is doable that it could be around the 90 mark. It would be, for the season, or even less, or even close to it. Because like I said before that, it was Norwich City, Watford just ran away because Brentford just missed on third place when Norwich and Watford got promoted. Norwich only got 97, Watford got 91. So it is doable.
Yeah,
I think as well. Another thing is you're on 2 points per game. If you keep hitting, it's a cliche. Benjamin Bloom says it all the time, but he's right. If you keep on staying at that 2 points per game mark, you're a very strong contender to go up automatically. And another thing, just to point out, I didn't even notice this till I just look at the table. Out of the teams from 10th or above, so Norwich are 10th, you've played Sunderland, Sheffield United,
Yeah.
Burnley, Watford, West Brom, Bristol City, and Norwich. So out of the other 9 teams in the top 10, you've played 7 of them already. And the other 2 you will have played within the next month, I think.
Yeah.
So obviously you play Millwall, then you play Blackburn in a few weeks' time, I believe.
Mhm.
So this is where I keep on saying, I think the problem, because Daniel Farke, I felt a little bit for him, because it's like 90 points, as I said, 99 times out of 100 gets you automatic promotion. But
Yeah.
Ipswich kept bloody winning and getting to 96 points. So, whereas if you come close to replicating that this time, then you'd be staggered if you didn't at least get second, if not outright win the league. And you're playing good stuff as well.
Yeah. No, I take both of you. What he said it's true, and that's something. We'll keep that 2 points per game over the next few weeks, so that I think that is the chance. It's like we can do this as long as we have no hiccups. I think January we'll get some more bodies in. There has been talks of. And we've been linked with it for a few years. Even when he was at one of the Bielsa before, it's Lewis O'Brien. It's probably that another missing piece that we need in that defense midfield, because I don't think he's played much when since he's gone to. I think he's gone abroad actually to LA in America. So he's not played a lot of games this season over there in the States. So to have him back and try to get him match fit could be vital. As long as we'll get Amphamfadu and Gurev coming back, that's going to be a huge plus to have that midfield strength and a bit to have the variety options. And I think with Pearl scoring and Harrison's now slowly, because he scored 1 goal when he first joined Leeds, and that was a poor return, but he's now contributing, scoring a bit more now. And once Ramazai comes back from his injury in the next 2 weeks or so, I think the squad is there from January onwards, as long as every squad we keep it fit and not be too stale towards the end, like we always have done that pattern between Easter and towards the end of the season.
And avoid key injuries as well, obviously. But it's a big thing for every team, isn't it? Here's another way to look at it as well. Let's say, for example, you get a point at Millwall and you beat QPR. Then 15 games in, if you're saying 90 points is the safe tally to aim for that would get you the league or second, you're then a third of the way there already, aren't you?
Yeah.
Even if you wanted to look at try to think of a good example. Let's say 85 points, then you're 1 win away from probably a third of that tally. There's definitely far worse places to be in when you're doing something like that. What are your hopes? Let me rephrase this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident as of right now, bearing in mind obviously things can change, but as of right now, how confident are you from 1 to 10? 1 being not confident to 10 being, I don't know, any confident over Bristol City's first goal?
I would say between 7.5, 8, 7.5 at least.
Yeah, that's about what I thought you'd say.
It's all good at the moment, but things can change. But where we're at the moment, it's quite good. So yeah,
no, I don't think there's many complaints really. And I think if you beat the teams that, yes, there'll be the odd slip up, but if you beat the teams that you expect to beat, then the games against sides around you, you don't want to go into a game with this mindset. But if, say, you beat the teams you should, then the games against sides around you turn to must not lose games, and all of a sudden you can afford to not win those games. So, but yeah, and like I said, you've played most of the teams in the top half anyway, haven't you? So
yeah, very much, yeah, absolutely, indeed. Well, gentlemen.
So the challenge of us two finishing top 2 and Bristol City getting in the playoffs and winning them still on, so we can annoy Ant next season.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's hands down. Yeah, that's hands down. Yeah. No, we've made a pact now. Let's keep that pact towards the end of May to make sure that it does happen.
Can you imagine if, say, Leeds and Sunderland did get top 2, then we're just sitting here watching the playoffs going, go on, Bristol City, go on.
Yeah, we'll be supporting Bristol City for the whole time, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And Ant's probably going to sit there watching the screen going, no, don't you dare win it. We've lost Leeds and Sunderland. I don't want to lose Andy as well. No, they've won in the extra time.
Yeah.
And it'll be the perfect way if that did happen. And then Bristol City score an even better team goal than the one they did yesterday, and that's the goal that takes them up to the Premier League. At Wembley.
I don't want to think about that.
In a good way or a bad way?
I don't really know. I just don't want to think about having to deal with Wembley. But long way.
We know
long way.
Wembley's not being your fortress as well, so we all know that.
Yeah. We don't want to do that. Don't want to be there again. So, yeah. If we could get automatically promoted.
How many
Listen,
points is there between you? Well, there's 10 points between us and Bristol City at the minute, and then there's 7 between you and yeah, 2 wins. You never know.
Yeah. No. I don't know.
Well, if you keep scoring filthy goals like yesterday, then anything's possible.
Yeah. 5 wins in a row or something like that would be nice.
Absolutely true. Well, listen, we're gonna make sure you get there regardless. So we'll try to do what we can. We'll try to make sure our teams beat the teams around you, so you can get promoted as well. So, but only the playoffs, because I think that two puts it's for me, Michael. We need to make sure we get there.
Yeah, no offense. We want to make sure Leeds and Sunderland get automatics first.
So you can enjoy going to St James's Park to rile up the Geordies, Michael. I just want to go back to Old Trafford to rile up the...
You're kidding me. You did not just say enjoy going to St James's Park in a sentence with a straight face.
I said it in a straight face to rile them up, just to piss them off.
Fine, as long as we get them to give us their main bars and decorate it with Sunderland.
Yeah,
then I can
that sounds, yeah.
Payback for that. Still fuming we did that.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Let's just humble them bastards up the road. Yep.
Yeah. And that's the same for us as well. We'll cross the fucking penalties to make sure we can beat Man U at Old Trafford as well. So, yeah.
Well, it's a shame, really. If you'd played them under Ten Hag, I would have probably bet like
I know. And I agree with what you said, because we did. Do you know what? And that's something else I was looking forward to, because I think we did play against him when he became manager, and actually we should have won that game at Old Trafford, because we were 2-0 ahead in that year.
The Ten Hag effect.
I know. Gentlemen, thank you very much always. Before we finish off, let's look at the table. So Sunderland missed out on the win yesterday, but that means Leeds closed the gap to 3 points. Sheffield United also 4 points behind them as well. Only Burnley were the only team in the top 6 not to win over this weekend. Millwall are now 2 points behind West Brom in 7th place, just above Blackburn and Bristol City, who Bristol City did get the win, and that means Norwich and Middlesbrough have dropped down into 10th or 11th place. In the bottom half of the table, Portsmouth are still at the bottom of the table, but Luton Town are just above the relegation after getting a draw yesterday on Friday night against West Brom, while Plymouth dropped down into 22nd. The only team that did win, 2 teams that did win in the bottom half, was Stoke and Cardiff City. Thank you, gentlemen, as always. Well, Michael, we'll see you next weekend, because you're going to Manchester, so hopefully you have a good trip, but I'll put in a good note for you if Sunderland do win.
Yeah, that would be quite nice. I think, all right then, make this a deal, because Sunderland have Coventry at home next Saturday. We do shite against Coventry. So if Sunderland manage to beat Coventry, Ant has got to come on.
I know. Well,
even if Leicester lose, I don't give a shit about that. Like, come on.
I do as well.
No, come on. If Sunderland beat Coventry, you should just take my place and wax lyrical about Sunderland.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not because he likes us, but because we're beating Coventry.
Yeah, fair point. No,
thanks for having me on. It was really nice. It was really good.
I know. As long as he's not doing his bloody roundup next Sunday, that's the questionable part. Well, especially he's only doing this because he's back to work tomorrow. So,
typical lad. It's just going to be a typical situation if you get him to agree to come on, and then he just goes, "Oh no, sorry, I've got insert excuse number 34 here as to why he can't come on."
Yeah, I know. Oh, don't worry. I'll be directly messaging him if you don't come on Sunday. I will be directly messaging him.
That sounds like a threat. I will spam your DMs with all harassment online.
I will do.
If you do not come on the panel show.
And then if he's doing his truck pockets, I will message him in there saying, "You're supposed to come on. Why are you not coming? So you're doing your own thing. You didn't want to come on about us."
Oh, it's going to be funny to tune in now.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. Yeah. Gentlemen, as always, thank you. Annie will see you next week. Michael will see you in probably after the international break now. Yeah,
because 3 weeks' time, won't it?
I know. Absolutely. So, as we finish off, then we'll continue. I'll be back on next Saturday to do the Saturday show as usual at 11 o'clock, and then we're back in with Annie next Sunday at 8 o'clock. And hopefully, we'll get Buddy Anthony on, and that's my go-to to-do list now, on top of the to-do list. So that is going to happen. But listen, thank you all for watching and commenting the messages. I will share both the guys' channels on our description page as well. And also, please like and share and hit the notification bell for the upcoming content and videos over the next couple of days as well. But appreciate that. Hopefully you all have a good weekend. We'll see you at the same time next week at 8 p.m. Take it for now. Bye-bye.